Thank you very much. Well, thank you, everyone. I cannot see everyone, but I know there's a bunch of people connected. So I'm very pleased that had a chance to give you an update about the bird banding lab. I should say I'm jealous that I'm not there. I'm sure you guys are having a blast there, and I mean I've seen listed great presentations, and I'm sure you're going to be in the field with the hummingbirds. So jealous for sure. For those who don't know me, my name is Antonio Celis Murillo. People call me Tony Celis, and I'm the chief of the National Bird Banding Lab. It's a lab that is hosted within Patuxent Research Refuge. We're hosted with the USGS Center, which is Eastern Ecological Science Center, and I'm currently the chief or program manager of the program. Next slide, please. And as you see in the title of this slide, basically I'm going to give you a broad overview of what the program does and how we coordinate across the nation. I'm going to give you a few updates, especially because the bird banding lab keeps evolving for good, I should say. Keeps evolving, and if you haven't been in touch with the bird banding lab over the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 years, things are very, very different nowadays. So, and I will try to have some extra time at the end, so for questions and answers, in case you have questions related to permits or anything related to hummingbirds. Next slide, please. And this slide is simply for me to remind you that bird banding is not just about tracking birds. It is really playing with individual identification. And if you can think about it, knowing the identify one individual, it really allows you to do a lot more. I think this audience, it's very diverse, and they've been doing multiple types of research or seen multiple types of research. But this is just a reminder that banding, it really does more than just tracking birds. It really, you can track survival, longevity, movement, study movement at local landscape or continental scales. You can keep track of status and population trends. With banding and with demographic data, you can try to understand the drivers of those populations. And with all creative ways as scientists, you really can do a lot of things related to management and conservation decisions. So I think it's important that banding is recognized, that we can do a lot more than that. Next slide, please. And like I said, it's going to be I want to try to do a quick overview. The lab was established in 1920, so we've been for 100 and plus years now. It was basically the reason we established this lab is because once the Migratory Bird Treaty Act was in place, they needed a centralized office who was able to handle not just the federal permits for those who needed to capture and mark birds, but also a way to keep track of all the data that was produced by banding birds. So the first folks who work in the bird banding lab really focus on developing the techniques of trapping, marking, the types of bands, come up with the unique band numbers, and all the information that it's current for today. The lab was focusing on supporting the collection, archiving, management, and dissemination of bird banding data across North America. And while it started a very operational program, over time things have been evolving in better ways for the bird banding lab. Next slide, please. One thing that I need to recognize, it's very important, is that since 1923, we work in collaboration with Canada, the bird banding office in Canada, and together we form, since 1923, the North American Bird Banding Program. So we have shared resources, shared database. We are in communication with both offices, the bird banding lab in the US and the bird banding office in Canada. And since the beginning, we really had amazing support from the bird banding associations. I have listed 5 banding associations at a time. Only 4 are current right now: the Inland, Western, Eastern, and Canadian bird banding associations. They are there, and they've been really the right arms for the bird banding lab. So I really want to cheer up the banding associations who have been critical for our development. Next slide, please. And today, after 100 years, we really consider ourselves not just an operational program who ship bands and give permits. You can see in the diagram, there are a lot of different things that we do. We have a strong scientific component. We do a lot of community science because all the banding and vocational banders who work with us. We focus a lot our work on waterfall populations and management in coordination with the flyways across all states, across the nation. We have international collaborations. We have an educational component and a very strong analytical capacity. So it's not just an office for permits. It's really more like an integrated science program. And that's where you see the difference from the beginning being just operational to today is more like an integrated scientific program. Next slide, please. Today we are 15 as of today. As you probably heard, the federal government has been having a lot of issues over the last year and a half. We lost some of the employees. I should say they're not just employees; they were also friends. They were also amazing people with expertise, knowledge, everything about supporting the bird banding lab. So it was really hard. Over the last few months, we've been trying to recover from that. And so far, we are bringing a couple new folks, 3 folks total. Jen McKay, we have a person that just started on Monday, and hopefully next Monday, we have another person starting. So hopefully we are getting back. So we will be a full team of 15 folks, most of them biologists, different type of biologies, but all of them related to banding, birds, many PhDs, masters, different types of positions, but really a very cohesive and strong team in the bird banding lab. Next slide, please. And generally speaking, our main responsibilities is issue federal bird banding permits. As some of you are aware, we have master station permits and master personal permits, and within those master personal permits or master stations, we can have sub permits. We process around 60 to 90 new master permits per year, and about 400 sub permits per year. So the banders community is definitely growing. We provide all the bands for everyone for free. We deliver about 1.2 million bands per year. So that includes all the little bands for the hummingbirds. And we also authorize every type of marking. We call it auxiliary markers, which are plastic lead bands, neck collars, flags, radio transmitters, implants, GPS tags, all kinds of those. Well, we only authorize them. We don't provide them for free. Every researcher has to get the tags, but we need to go through the process of authorizing those, which is each permittee. Next slide, please. Obviously, one of the conditions of the federal permit is once they finish their work or their seasons, they submit data to us. Now we have a really nice portal where you can just go and do all the management of your data. We have a database administrator and a programmer and other folks, including Kira, who is with you, always helping behind the Bander portal and making sure the Bander portal keeps growing. Every time there are new features, every time you go and connect, there are a lot of new things. So it's mostly a portal where you can manage all your banding information, but also has a bunch of resources inside that you can use as a bander, get data requests, automatic data requests, look at your reports, your encounters, all kinds of information that goes there. That's also a mobile, so you can use it in your phone too. Next slide, please. We also focus a lot of our work on making sure the reports of banded birds come back to us. That is really a key part, as you know, with the bird banding science. The ideal is to have not just the banding, but also the report of the bird later on, just so you can have those two pieces of information who are critical for us to do the science. So with our site, reportband.gov, we basically receive reports from the public, scientists recapturing birds, bird watchers reciting. Nowadays, we receive about 200,000 reports per year, and probably half of them are now recitings, which is great because that means there's tons of people out there with spotting scopes, binoculars, looking for birds and finding those reports and reporting them just without capturing the bird. So it's increasing. Next slide, please. And lastly, big responsibility that we have is that we want to make sure all the data that comes in, it's curated. That's a big part of our work, curate all the data and making sure it's available as soon as possible. We have multiple ways to access the data, so everyone can use the data. You can go and make an automatic request in the portal or send us an email, multiple ways. But basically, our goal is to make sure this data is disseminated and used by scientists to do research. So it is great. So far, we've tracked a little bit more than 1,200 peer-reviewed publications that have used our data, and every day with more internet communication and availability of our data, more people is using these large data sets or small data sets that we offer all the time. Next slide, please. Overall, the bird banding lab with all our infrastructure, which is the federal permitting system, the portal for management data, and the reportband.gov, we serve, generally speaking, three communities. Community, federal, and state agencies who have work all year round or in seasons, but pretty much every state across the 4 flyways, we have operations, very big banding operations. We serve them. They are very unique because they do more operational work, like every year is kind of the same thing. Scientists, those are universities, NGOs, or amateur scientists who have specific projects. We help them. That's really fun because they're very diverse community, so they can do all kinds of research. They have a lot of creative ways of using technology, and we help them that way. And also the avocational banders who usually join collaborative projects like MAPS or Hummingbird networks or whatever they do in more collaborative way. And the public who ultimately reports to us. Next slide, please. I have a few slides just to show you, give you an idea of the magnitude of the impact we make with this laboratory and data set. I mentioned the flyway councils. This is across the 4 flyways, all state. They all do pre-season banding of waterfowl communities with the goal to once the open season for hunting starts, hunters start reporting the bands the birds that they're shooting that have bands. And then we connect that information from the banding and encounter for all the waterfowl populations. Since 1950s, we've been developing models that connect all the data for every flyway, every state, and we get better information about status and trends of the waterfowl populations, which is ultimately used to inform hunting regulations at the end of the year. So it is very important. I will say half of the efforts of the bird banding lab are directed at these states and federal agencies to do the hunting regulations work. Next slide, please. Efforts, this is just an example of the type of efforts we've done with our data sets, very curated data sets. Right now, there is a book that just came out maybe 4 weeks ago from Smithsonian and Georgetown, where they put all the banding data connections and they build migratory connectivity patterns for every species of North America. It's a great book, a lot of art in the book, so you should look for it. I'm sure they have hummingbirds there too. And also Audubon Migration Explorer, that's another good example of how our data as a whole can be used to understand patterns. That is a PDF slide. That's why you didn't see movement, but basically it's a big effort on data integration in this type of visualization tool, where they have eBird, bird banding and encounter data, tracking data all together, and you can see the tracks for every species. So these are just examples of how these data can really make an impact as a whole. Next slide, please. This slide is just to show you that we have dozens of really large-scale projects in the bird banding lab that help curate, manage data, and run scientific questions in some cases. This is just an example of a collaboration, long-term collaboration with Fish and Wildlife Service to monitor albatrosses in the Pacific Islands, the whole Pacific since late 40s. You probably heard from Wisdom. It's been around for 74 years or so. So far, the bird banding lab behind the scenes, it's been curating more than 1 million records between banding and encounters of just albatrosses. So like this, we have dozens of projects behind the scenes that we are fully supporting projects and all related to banding and encounters. Next slide, please. I mentioned that we spend a lot of time supporting research projects. To me, these are really fun because every day there's a new technology, a new radio device, a new way of tracking or studying birds, whether it is genetics, eDNA, the Genoscape project, Motus Towers, or whatever. So our office needs to really think through how these new technologies will be incorporated, and most importantly for us, how they will be permitted, because we are responsible to give federal permits for those devices or scientific projects. So this is really fun for us because we need to gather as much information as we can to figure out how we are going to handle new technologies and new things. So because it's such a dynamic type of work there, it's very interesting, but we spend a lot of time doing that. Next slide, please. And obviously, we spend a lot of time supporting vocational banders and banding stations. As you can imagine, collaborative projects out there, some of them have a lot of operations. Just IBP, Institute for Bird Population, with passenger birds, they estimate a little bit more than 1,000 banding stations running every year. So these are really big projects. And like that, we have a long list of collaborative projects, either for owls, for raptors, for northern latitudes, for finches, for different taxa, basically, or hummingbirds. So we spend a lot of time in our office connecting with everyone and trying to help them as best as we can to ensure that all those collaborative efforts have a really good path to analyze the data and ultimately make sure that data that they're collecting is put to use for management and conservation. Next slide, please. This is just a few examples of a few of the partners, but in reality, we have hundreds of partners who work with us or we work with them. We work with them in different stages of the research, but we are always there to support it. And really, our approach in the lab is to support collaborations, build partnerships, and support management and conservation science. Next slide, please. We also have, more recently, for the last 2 years, an initiative, Banders Without Borders, where we are, the first stage of this initiative is connect with all the banding schemes that have mostly well-established federal government behind them. We've been meeting, I think, so far, 19 or 20 countries that we met. And we keep meeting with them because we're exchanging information, sharing who we are, and trying to put a better platform that we can all connect and share resources. We are personally learning so much from other countries. And we think that understanding better the well-established banding practices, we can probably help and share more information with others who are in need of this information. The ultimate goal of this initiative is improve just communication, learning, collaboration, build partnerships, and ultimately advance science. I won't talk much about this, but we have plenty of ideas on how these Banders Without Borders will work for the future of the bird banding lab. Next slide, please. We also have two banding stations in Patuxent in our next to our office. So I'm right now currently in Patuxent. So I just walk 5 minutes, and we have a couple banding stations. One for maps, and the other one for migration. Kira actually runs one of the. Well, actually, she participates in both mostly, but she spends a lot of time in the migration station with passerines. It's been it was formalized in 1983, although it started in 1979. So we have a banding station, and currently we're working a lot on building resources around these stations to really keep studying what is the best model for a banding station and how they can be connected to all types of research, not just education or training, but also all different scientific projects. Next slide. Yeah, it's I had some pictures there about our site. Yeah, you can go back a little bit. We are in the banding station. We are setting up different type of telemetry towers, and hopefully more than just since we are authorizing a lot of different the deployment of devices on birds and collecting blood and all these different type of federal authorizations. Now we're going to try in our banding station to do a lot of different research that includes all those techniques, so we have better understanding how they work, and we will feel more comfortable to provide more authorizations with more informed decisions behind. So right now we are like putting a bunch of technologies and a bunch of things in our banding stations and create a model where we can actually test things if needed. So this will help a lot to on the development of new practices and new technologies to be used with birds. Next slide now. And what's next for the BBL? Well, there's always something new to that we need to adapt. Our goal is to ensure that our evolution as a lab is based by partner needs, scientific needs, and anything that we see. So really want to catch up with what is needed and how the BBL is going to manage the federal permitting in the work that we do. Next slide, please. So far, big changes that we've done recently that you are not aware for sure is that if you are familiar with the Brain Bear Survey, it's a 60-year-old program that has been running surveys across the nation and across Canada and even in Mexico, in some parts in Mexico, the 3 countries. Now we recently restructured our center, and our organizational chart now is putting together a new science team, which is called National Avian Monitoring Science Team, where is both the BBL and the BBS, which both operational programs, both long-term databases with a lot of infrastructure. Now they're going to start working together to really help better. We think that the fact that BBS is very focused at keeping status and population trends, and BBL data has the capacity to look at the data in ways that we can learn more about the drivers of those population declines. So together, they're going to be working more. This is very recent for the bird banding lab. So both BBL and BBS will be more a cohesive team, separate programs, but more cohesive team. They are here. We are in the first floor of our building, and BBS is in the second floor. So we are going to have a much more integration. And we are testing a bunch of new approaches of how to handle our operations, from new AI approaches that manages tasks within our lab, We are moving to the cloud very soon. We're working with a big team doing that, making sure our data is more available, more friendly to use. We will have capacity to do API. So if some of the networks that are attending here have data and they want to connect, we can connect through APIs now. And we are working a lot in trying not just to integrate BBS and BBL data, but also our data with other data sources like MoveBank and telemetry places, Motus, other places. So it seems like our new integration, new model will work much better too. So everybody can continue doing their things, but we can all be more connected through the cloud. Next slide. So because of this, that was a cut slide, but basically it's a slide that shows how these two teams get together. But I also want to emphasize that the bird banding lab is not just our team of 15 biologists today. We also are in a center, and we're part of the Eastern Ecological Science Center, who has 140 biologists and scientists. If you are familiar with Patoxen, we have a huge base of quantitative analysis folks who are here next door. So now we're trying to work more cohesive to have all the scientists supporting this cohesive team of VBL, BBS. So we hope that we are going to change some things in terms of our strategy to accomplish scientific projects and help on this. So those are the listed teams. So we have a quantitative methods and decision science team, a species population dynamics and surveillance, animal health diagnostics and surveillance, ecological patterns and processes, and the BBL, BBS, which is the National Avian Monitoring Science. So it's not just the BBL. I think we are going to try to take a more holistic approach of all our resources towards doing this work. So it's going to benefit the BBL a lot. Next slide, please. And this is just a slide of many recent work that we've been doing. Our cyber security has been improved way more. Like I said, we have like 10 folks working now on a cloud-based migration. We are automating a lot of things, and we hope that our service will be much more easier for everyone. Next slide. I think is the last one. And yeah, overall, this is just a brief overview about the BBL, and I'm happy to answer questions if there's time, and especially specific questions related to hummingbirds, to technology, devices, or anything you need. And I just put there that our vision ahead is have a modern, adaptive, and data-driven BBL that will power the next generation of avian science. And that's all I have.